Hopefully you guys will get to check out the yoga class next time. But yes, thank you, Vicki, for creating this community, and I love to see how many people come here each month to help keep our beaches and ocean clean. I'm Lisa Zawaski. I work in the Dana Point Public Works Water Quality Department. Basically, I am the department. It's just me, but I handle all our stormwater and water quality programs at the city. So I'm here to talk to you about what a watershed is and what we can do to protect our watershed. And I think Kalani's doing me a big favor by passing out this brochure that we're going to refer to. So what is a watershed? A watershed is all the land that basically naturally drains to a certain point. So like for example, Baby Beach, we have 3 storm drains there that takes this area, a shopping center, and all the houses around here, and all that water draining that lands on the roof, in the streets, in the gutters, will end up in the Baby Beach. And we test all our beaches weekly, so we know that if they're clean or if they have bacteria levels, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But we are all the solution to pollution, so we can do things at our homes to keep our waters clean as to the best possible, and we'll go into some of that. So this is Baby Beach watershed. On the other side of the spectrum, and the other side of the city, we have San Juan Creek. That watershed is 177 square miles. So that watershed goes all the way up to Rancho Santa Margarita. So what you do at your house in Rancho Santa Margarita is going to affect the water quality in Dana Point, and some people don't realize that. So everyone basically has an oceanfront home if you think about it, because all our water drainage will actually go to some beach. So there's 3 main pipe systems that we use during our daily lives. There's the water pipes that bring us clean water to our houses so we can drink and bathe and wash dishes. There's the sewer pipes, which take the dirty water away to a treatment plant. And in Dana Point, we have the South Orange County Wastewater Treatment Plant that's just above San Juan Creek. And then we have the storm drain pipes, and the storm drain pipes are in the streets. They were designed to prevent flooding, but they take everything that gets into the streets, including soaps and litter and fertilizers and pesticides. Anything that gets washed into the streets will end up in those storm drains, and the storm drains go right into the ocean. So whatever gets into the storm drains is actually going into the beach where you guys want to swim. So that's why it's very important that we can do everything that we can as residents and as part of our community to keep all the pollutants out of the storm drains, because it will ultimately end up at the beaches. So our motto is only rain in the storm drain. So everyone has a brochure, and we'll go over some of the pollutants that do get into the storm drains, like fertilizers, pesticides, pest wastes, detergents, paints. Sometimes people will wash paints out in their driveway, not knowing that it's actually going to end up in Baby Beach. So we'll go into some of those. What does the city do to prevent some of the pollution? Well, we do weekly street sweeping on all our streets. So that's for aesthetic purposes, but it also collects some of the landscaping debris, litter, sediments and stuff out of the storm drains. It goes to get processed at a waste management place, so it doesn't go into our waterways. We also have inlet filters that can collect some of the heavier trash and litter, but the best way to keep out litter out of our storm drains and out of our waters is to not litter. So it's really important to, wherever you go, pick up after yourselves. We also have some larger trash separation units in certain strategic places in the city, and those are big underground things that actually they swirl, and so they collect litter and leave debris, and also allow oils to float. So we capture that and we collect it out, and so it doesn't go into the storm drain. But the most effective way is to prevent pollution from getting into our storm drains. So what can you do to help? We're going to go through this brochure that you guys have. So, trash. We all know how trash gets into our streets and gutters, and that's just from people not thinking about it and littering. So I'm sure none of you guys litter, but we pick up a lot of other people's litters during these cleanups. So if you're ever with your friends and they throw their fast food wrapper out of the window, maybe you can mention why it's really important not to litter. Engine oil. If you have a car that's leaking, it's important to get it maintained so that oil doesn't get washed away from rain or car washing water or irrigation runoff and go into the beaches. If you do notice a leak, you can use kitty litter or absorbent to absorb it until you can get it fixed, but you have to make sure that you sweep that up and dispose of it properly, because if you leave the absorbent with the litter, that's also going to go into the storm drains and get into the water. Pest waste. It's really important to pick up pest waste, because when we test the beach waters, we test for bacteria. Some of that bacteria, we do DNA testing, and some of it is from dogs. So, people take their dogs for a walk. If you don't pick it up, it will get washed via irrigation runoff, or the rain can wash it in. And then we test it, and then you can't go to the beach because there's bacteria, and it's from dog poop, and that's really disappointing. So always pick up after your pet, and we do have pet waste bags if you want to take some. Yard debris is organic matter, and that can add to algae blooms and stuff. So it's not good if you blow your landscaping and grass clippings into the street, saying the street sweeper is going to get them, because they might not get them before the next rain. Like I mentioned, paint. Never wash your brushes or stuff in the street. You can do that in your utility sink, because then it goes through the sewer system, and it goes to the wastewater treatment plant where they can properly process it. Car washing. Car washing is kind of a big issue, because people think it's kind of Americana, and it's traditional that you wash your car in your driveway. But now when you think about it, all that water, you're washing your car because it's dirty, you're washing the dirt and the bird poop and everything into the storm drains. And where do the storm drains lead? They lead right to the ocean. So if you can wash your car on a landscaped area where it can soak into the grass, or take your car to a car wash, and car washes are required to recycle their water. So they use the water multiple times, so it does save water in the long run. Now you can, a lot of people have fancy cars too, and they actually kind of buff their car wash. So if you can do it without water, that's a good way too, but that's a lot of work. Fertilizers and pesticides. It's really important to make sure that your lawn or your vegetation needs fertilizer, and then you can buy tests at Home Depot. But it's also really important to follow the instructions, because more is not better. It's definitely not better, because what your plants don't use, either your irrigation runoff, your sprinkler water, or the rain, is going to wash off that excess, goes into the water, and then you see the algae blooms. Fertilizer is food for your plants, and it also feeds the algae. So when you see if you see a water body with a lot of algae, most likely there's fertilizer coming from upstream in the watershed, and it's destroying the ecological balance of that water. Same with pesticides. If you have a pest that you don't like and you really need to, it's best to buy a pesticide that targets that specific organism, because there's some products out there that just say they kill everything, but you don't need to kill everything, and then it just has all these extra chemicals that you're not going to be using. And then again, if you're spraying outside your house, the rain will also wash those pesticides into the waterways and the creeks, and it's going to kill the little bugs in the creeks, and that's not what you want. We want to keep a very balanced ecosystem. And I think that covers a lot of the pollutants. Does anyone have any questions about anything? Yes.
The San Juan Creek, where is the treatment plant above that? And is it a biological filter that you also use, like wetlands and stuff?
It's on the west side of the creek. It's right on Del Obispo.
Okay.
It's the South Orange County Wastewater Treatment Facility. It's a special agency, but they do use, it's a biological treatment, and they, goes through all these processes and rigorous testing, and then they discharge it 2 miles out into the ocean, and they have to test it there too, and so they'll test the water around it to make sure, around the outlet point. You don't see the pipe is, underground and stuff, but they have to do testing out there too to make sure there's no bacteria and stuff out there.
So the creek itself, it gets burned up by the tides, I'm assuming.
Yes, that's a natural berming.
And then it outlets. And this last summer or fall, I guess, I'm sure you saw that there was like a huge growth of algae.
Yeah, yes.
And that was probably from just what you're talking about.
Yes, like I said, that watershed is huge, 177 square miles, and this kind of shows it. But yes,
so
definitely nutrients got into that system.
And there's no way to like scrape that off or clean that off before it outlets into the ocean, or is that not even important?
Well, you probably could, but who pays for that? And it's
not something the city does.
Yeah, it's the actual flood control is owned by the Orange County Flood Control District. It's weird. There's a lot of different agencies coming into play, and then you might even have to get a permit because then there's the wildlife into it, and so there's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
But the best way is to stop it at the source, and so. Thank you for holding that up. Does anyone else have a question?
I have a question. So, is it oh, sorry, I didn't know I interrupted. Is it illegal to wash your car in your driveway, or? It's illegal to wash your car in the driveway if the dirty water goes into the storm drain. So, like I said, we can't say it's not illegal to wash your car, but you could if you don't have a landscaped area where you could park on it to wash it, you could put sandbags and suck it up with a wet vac, take that wet vac water and put it in your bushes or put it in your utility sink. So there are ways you can do it legally, but if that dirty water hits the sidewalk and the streets, technically it's illegal. We try to educate people when we see that. We don't go out searching for it, but when our building inspectors, our code enforcement officers, or I are out and we see somebody, we will stop and talk to them. Mobile detailers too, there's a lot of people that pay for a person to come to your house. They are required to have protection, and a lot of them do. Some of them don't take it out though, and they leave it in their truck. So when we see that, we make sure that they have the stuff and they implement the right, put a berm out and have the vacuum to suck their water, or we can actually write a ticket to them. And we have done that, especially for repeated offenders. And then, did you have a question? Nothing is allowed in the storm drain except rain. So DE, if you had that water, you could actually put it on your plants and stuff and put it in a vegetated area. Because technically it's inert, but if it's your pool backwash, it has all the stuff that you got out of your pool too. So, but only rain in the storm drain. Like, you can't even you're not supposed to hose your driveway down with potable water. You could drink the water, but you can't put that in our storm drain. That's how the regulations are written. But you're also, if you're hosing down your driveway, you're hosing it down for a reason. You're washing all that other stuff. So it's more of the conveyance problem. Like, you're conveying anything else that's in its path into the storm drains, which ends up in the ocean. Okay, so besides us sharing this information, I feel like that's not really common knowledge. So how do you get that information out?
Well, we work with Orange County, and we have this big public education campaign. We have our website. It's h2oc.org, and you can sign up for newsletters. We go to events. We have the Coastal Cleanup Day. We're at events throughout the year. You can request presentations. But we have, H2OC does our county-wide marketing. I don't know if anyone, have you heard of that, but you can sign up for the newsletters. We put ads in papers, movie theaters. We've had radio ads before, and they try all different options to see what resonates with most people and what gets the most impressions. But yeah, it's been a work in progress, and it's challenging.
So is it new?
No. Our program, I've been in with the city for 18 years, and we've had the program. Now, it's been enhanced definitely as the years go by, but right around when I started, that's where the regulations came down, and cities are responsible for whatever gets into our storm drains, and we have a bunch of regulations, we have a bunch of reporting to do, and testing, and programs, and we have certain new developments have to put in features so they treat their stormwater before it leaves their site. So there's a bunch of components to the program.
Does the city itself then regulate the amount of herbicides and pesticides and fertilizers that they put on all of the
The city parks, yes, and they try to do. It's called integrated pest management, and that's hand weeding and using ladybugs sometimes to kill other pests. Now, it's not 100% though, because a lot of times the public wants instant solutions, and we're so accustomed to take care of the problem. Well, if you spray, you're going to kill the bugs right away, but if you use ladybugs, it takes a while for all the natural processes to happen. So but we do have an integrated pest management program.
Okay, so my question is, instead of like hosing down your driveway or washing your car and having it lead into the drains, what are some other alternatives to get a clean car and a clean driveway without having to hose it down?
Well, a driveway you can broom. You broom it. If you have a blower, you can blow it into the vegetation with the hopes that it's not going to rain the next day and take all the dust that you just blew into your grass off. But the car washing, you can, if you don't have a landscaped area, which it might be difficult in California to have a lawn big enough to drive your car there, you can put, you could get some sandbags, put them at the end of your driveway where the water flows, and then suck it up with a wet vac if you have that. And then you dump the water from the wet vac in your utility sink, or you can dump it on your lawn, or you can go to a car wash and pay. Yeah. But they have the do-it-yourselfers that aren't as expensive. But it's a good excuse too to say, well, I have to go to a car wash. I don't have to wash my car by myself.
You were going to talk about bacteria levels at Baby Beach, and I don't know if you do Doheny as well.
Yeah, the county Orange County Healthcare Department tests all our beaches weekly. When there's a higher bacteria than our standard, it will be posted, and it's called a posted beach. We've done tests to see if it's human bacteria, which can cause sickness, or what other. We have DNA for canine dogs and also birds. So when we test the water in Baby Beach, we've done a lot of programs. We've tested all the sewers in Baby Beach. We've done a lot of work. Baby Beach is challenged because it's an enclosed beach and it doesn't get a lot of the tidal action. So it can have higher bacteria, but you'll always know when it's posted, and you can go to ocbeachinfo.org to get a daily update on what beaches are posted or not. But we have done DNA testing, and we do find canine, we don't find human, and we find birds. The Orange County Parks Department actually picks up bird dew along the sand on a regular basis, so we don't get those postings. But birds are natural, so it's kind of a dichotomy. Like, we're picking up the bird poo, so it doesn't impact the water, but the birds are natural. Should we be doing that? There's people, sometimes there's no 100% right answer. But Baby Beach has come a long way because we've tested all the sewers, we've made repairs, and we do a lot of inspections and in the watershed, and we check restaurants and make sure they're not hosing down their mats, and there's new developments that have to treat their stormwater. So all those things make a big improvement.
Sorry.
Do you have volunteers or a need for volunteers to like test water or do it? What for your department?
The city doesn't, but there's Surf Rider and Heal the Bay. They will have programs for volunteers, so I can give you that information after. And
Could you run down that the toxins at Rivermouth, the Hammer, Doheny area, Rivermouth?
can I?
Kind of tell us what kind of bacteria or heavy metals or any other pollutants that you've been
Well,
testing
we test on a regular basis for bacteria because that can cause sickness and like gastrointestinal illness. But we know that there can be nutrients in there because we see that from the algae.
But specifically for that area, because I know we had a lot of problems with the stables upriver, salmon stables and stuff.
Yeah, well, there was actually a lawsuit, and one of the stables that was having horses poop right next to the creek, that was abated, and so they had to put in a bunch of procedures and structures to make sure that doesn't happen again. We get a lot of bird bacteria at Doheny as well. I don't know about. I can't off the top of my head. I don't know if we tested the mouth for canine recently, but it did come into play when that horse stable.
And human, there's no human stuff.
There can be human markers there, but the storm drains that I've personally tested have been lower than the threshold. But there's dry weather monitoring and there's wet weather monitoring. Wet weather, they do put a posting out that you shouldn't swim for 3 days after, and that's kind of standard. That's all through California because we can't control whatever gets into the gutters, and when it rains, you can't treat that volume of water.
So you test. Oh, here, I'll raise my hand. So you test weekly here and at Doheny?
The Orange County Healthcare Agency, in cooperation with the wastewater treatment plant, they treat every beach weekly, and you can go to the OC Beach info website, and it will have a daily update on all the beaches that have higher bacteria.
So does it have what's the standard or like what's okay and then like it's spiked or?
If you dig into the website, it will just say if it's posted or not. The standard is 104. So anytime it's at 105 or above, or 104, it's going to just say it's posted. It doesn't have the data specifically there. But there's also a geomean regulation. So if 30-day geomean has to be 35 or less. So if it exceeds either of those two, it will be posted. Beaches are only closed if there's actual sewer spill with known sewage going into the water.
I have another question. What's the future of our watersheds?
Well, the future is trying to get more community to understand that whatever they do at their own home it does impact down the way. Infiltration, reusing stormwater is a big thing. So we're looking at ways to try to capture stormwater and actually reuse it for either irrigation or maybe send it to the treatment plant so it can be part of the recycled water system, or maybe treat it and so it is used for drinking water. So I would say that's probably the biggest thing right now is to capture and treat stormwater and look at stormwater as a resource instead of it all just going back into the ocean. And it is part of the cycle, but if we can use it and get value out of it before it goes there, that would be really, really good. Anything else?
What's like another way to get awareness out for the watersheds and to spread hope and awareness for the watersheds, like in places where they don't really necessarily have as much education about our environment? Like, what are some ways to get awareness out?
Well, you can share what you learn with your friends, but I know the Ocean Institute has some really good programs, and I know they bring in like people that don't live by the beach. It seems like maybe if you live by the beach, you kind of have a better understanding that, if you drop something here, it's going to blow into the water. But people way up there, if something blows off their porch, they're not going to think, oh, it's going to go in the storm drain and that's going to end up at the beach. So I know Ocean Institute has really good programs, education programs. I believe in 5th grade they do start teaching this. But I guess just spreading the word is, if everyone can help spread the word, then we'll be in a better place. Anyone else? Well, thank you for listening to me babble.